in the financial services field. So what do I do? So in a nutshell, when people ask, what do I do? These are the two things that I do. I help you maximize your financial life without making terrible mistakes that can handicap you for the rest of your financial life. So, in essence, I help you maximize, but I also help you avoid huge pitfalls that a lot of people go through that will set you back for years, right? Especially if you're young, you got time. Once you get older, mistakes tend to linger for a long time. Okay, so let me share with you what 4 areas that I help people with, and this is I'm going to leave you with a few nuggets, right? That is going to be important for you to take some notes if you like. I like to say a caveat: none of what I say is a specific financial or investment recommendation to you because everybody has a completely different situation, and these are generalities. You should be with your financial professional to make your decisions. So, what I do is I help people create, manage, protect, and transition wealth. Those are 4 areas. So first you have to create it, right? Create wealth. Then while you're creating it, you're managing it, right? All the while protecting it, and at the same time thinking of what legacy you're leaving behind for the next generation, right? A lot of people, a lot of your parents, for example, might be in that situation where they are doing that and preparing for a transition of wealth to you, whatever they've been able to accumulate. So I love Warren Buffett. So Warren Buffett says, there's a quote that I love. It says, if you buy things that you don't need, soon you will sell the things that you do need. Say that again. If you buy things that you don't need, soon you will sell the things that you do need. And I think that that's really, really powerful because right now we're in a consumer type of environment where we just see it and it's so easy they make it so easy to just click 2 or 3 clicks and you've bought it because they already have your credit card information in there, they already have your mailing address, you go on Amazon, boom, 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 2 or 3 clicks, you've already made a decision. It's the easiest thing that you can do is spend money, right? So some of the things that I can tell you is some of my clients, we manage a little over 200 clients right now in my private firm. And one of the biggest things that I've noticed is that most of my clients did not make $1 million a year. Did not make $500,000 a year. A lot of my clients made $40,000 a year, $60,000 a year, $100,000 a year. And guess what? They have a really, really nice retirement. Then there are others that make $500,000 a year and are dead broke. So it's all about how you spend and how you structure your finances. That's extremely important. So spending is the key. And I'll tell you a little story which I'd love to tell, and I won't say who it is. Hopefully they don't see, well, they'll probably see me on Facebook Live, but they don't know. People don't know who they are. So there was this young lady that I worked with. She was a teller. And I'm sitting in the break room. I worked at JP Morgan and Wachovia Securities, which then became Wells Fargo. And I sat down in the break room and I'm eating, and she comes in all excited, She's got a really nice purse. She's got red bottom shoes, right? Like she's got the works, right? And she comes in and this really nice Lexus key, just bam, throws it on there. And she's like, "Oh, I'm so excited! I just got my Lexus or whatever." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And the Lexus, red Lexus, gorgeous Lexus. Wow, okay. You mind me asking how much you paying for that? She's like, "Oh, it's $500 a month." I was like, "Oh, okay. What is it?" She's like, "Oh, it's a lease, Okay. So the price tag I think on that was like close to $40,000 roughly, give or take. $500 a month. Let me ask you guys a question. She's making $2,000 a month roughly. That's 25% of her income, right? Now, I asked her, and I'm sorry to burst the bubble, right? She was like 20 years old. I said, do you know how much that car is costing me? And she says, $500 a month. And I said, no. And I pull this thing out, which makes me a geek, right? But I pull this thing out, which, if you don't know how to use it, at first I was like, 4 times 4 equals. It does not give you 16. You have to do things completely different this thing. But I put in all the information, $500 a month. She's 20 years old. I told her, you're going to retire at 65, right? I'm just throwing numbers out there. That's 45 years, right? If you continue to lease a car at $500 a month for 45 years, do you know how much that car cost you? And she says, I have no idea. Do you guys know? I'm going to throw you some numbers. You're going to be shocked, right? So if she was to have not paid that car $500, she would have bought herself a car and paid it off cash, or kept the car, she bought it and then kept the car for an extra 10 years or whatever it is, and really kept a depreciating asset, right? Something that's lowering in value. She kept it, and she would have taken those $500 and put it into a savings account. I'm not talking about an investment. Savings account. Earning 1%. You could probably get something similar to that, or a little less nowadays, but $340,000. So I said, you have a really nice car parked outside. It's $340,000. But when you're 65, if you would have put that money away instead of driving that car is costing you $340,000. Now it doesn't stop there. Let's take it to the next level. You had a okay advisor, or let's say you have a conservative type of risk, because when you invest in different things, there's different levels of risk. But let's say you say, I'm very conservative, I don't want to take too much risk. It's safe to say you can probably average about 3% or so. Okay? If you would have put that money aside, $500 a month, into an account that made you 3% on average over those 45 years. $570,000. If you were a moderate investor and you said, I'll take a little more risk, it's okay. I have a long time. Average 5% return. These are not outlandish numbers, by the way. Right? These are pretty good numbers. 5% return. This is what bothers me about the current landscape of where we are socially. People tend to think that being a millionaire is an inherited thing, or being a millionaire is someone who just was gifted something. If you yourselves, at the age of 20, put $500 aside monthly, which is not outlandish, and you make on average 5% return for 45 years, you're at $1 million. So nice Lexus parked outside. It's $1 million. And if you're an aggressive type of person and you want to kind of make more money, the last number would be if you made 8% a year, which, by the way, is what the average market makes on a given year, $2.6 million. So why am I saying all that? Is because the small decisions that you think are very small, $300, $400, $500 a month, etc., could make all the difference in you retiring with everything paid off and having $2-3 million sitting in the bank. It's not unattainable. It's there. It's just you have to have the right guidance, and you have to have a financial, expert, someone by your side guiding you through what you should be doing. Because you have a decision to make if you want to do it on your own, which a lot of people do, or if you want to have someone, guide you professionally. So, going back to creating wealth, 3 key points that I would say, right? If you want to write these down. Number 1 is budget, and budget is not a bad word. Okay? Every time I sit down on a client meeting and we talk about budget, I can already see people kind of slouching. And it doesn't mean that you can't spend money. It means you're authorizing yourself to spend money. Okay? So when you budget, the first thing you do is you pay yourself. Right? Whatever's coming in, you pay yourself. Meaning, this money goes to you to the side. This is my money no matter what. I'm not spending it. The next amount is, what am I spending it on? And then you have your budget and you clear it out with your fixed and your variable expenses and all that stuff. But the number one thing is budget. The number two thing is, and by the way, this is not just to have $20,000 in the bank. This is what clients of mine that are multimillionaires do. Okay, with their income. It comes in and they automatically pay themselves first. Okay, that's a overwhelming trait that I see in millionaires is that they don't spend all of what they make. Number two thing is, and I'm not saying these in any particular order, but get out of debt quickly. Okay, it's like quicksand, right? So get out of debt quickly. We have a software that we use with our clients, which you tell us, I want to get out of debt in 3 years, or I want to buy my first home in 3 years, or I want to buy a second home, or whatever it is. And then we take all your debt, and then we take all the interest, we take everything into this system, and then we prioritize it. We tell you step by step as to what you should be paying, how much you should be paying to each thing, so that you are out of debt by that time. So it's all about goals. It's all about making sure that you align your goals with how you're spending your money and getting out of debt quickly. The reason why you want to get out of debt quickly is because you continue to give yourself pay raises, right? So if you no longer have to pay for that car, or you no longer have to pay $200 for a credit card, now that money can go, one, to your own personal spending, your own enrichment, your own traveling, your own whatever it is that you want to do. And it can also go to your future, because you got to do now and do later. It's really what we tell our clients is, don't just wait for everything for later, but don't also spend everything now. It's a nice balance between the two. The third thing is maintain a great credit history. Okay, that's going to save you a ton of money in your lifetime, whether it's for your home or whether it's for anything else that you buy on credit. So that's creating. Then you manage wealth after you're creating it, and managing it can be 20, 30 years, whatever it is, because you're growing it, but at the same time that you're growing it, you do have to manage and see how you're invested. Most people that I ask when they come to see me, I say, first question, when they bring me a statement, they say, here's my 401k, do you know how you're invested? No idea. And these are people that, are professionals, but that's just not their expertise, right? So their expertise is not finance. So they hire someone like me to help them make those decisions. So managing is very important. Number one on managing is investment options. Now, you guys are millennials, the information highway, if you want to call it, right, is so huge. I mean, there's so many different products that you can't make sense of it all. So now you have what we call paralysis by analysis, which is you don't do anything, right? Which I think one of the great things would be if we made legislation, which I think it's on the table. I'm almost positive that it's coming, where instead of you having to opt into your 401k, you would have to opt out of your 401k, which I think that would be phenomenal, because most people don't opt in because they don't know what they don't know, and they say, I'll do this later. Time passes, and then you never really enrolled, and then 3-4 years down the road, you're like, oh man, my colleague has like $40,000 in their 401k, and I don't have anything, because I never started it. I think it's great if we actually automatically enroll, so that you already kind of live without that money that's going away for your retirement. Okay. So investment options, there's so many. Make sure you get someone to guide you as to understanding what your options are. Okay. I've seen this a lot. It's a big mistake. Don't just go by your colleague. Well, what did you put in your 401k? Or you put that? Oh, I guess I'll put that too. Those are huge mistakes. Make sure you have someone guiding you. Okay. The second thing is you have to decide: are you really good at investments? If you are, you can do it yourself. Okay. If you have the time, or if you have a professional, that's very important to decide. In the days nowadays of E-Trade, for example, and places that you can just buy and buy your own stock or buy your own stuff. If you want to do it yourself, right? Just know that the risks associated with that, and that you have to have the time to continue to look at it. There was a study done by J.P. Morgan, which was really interesting, that the average investor that does it themselves makes about 2.3% return. And I want to say it's 2.3, I think it was 2.3, 2.5, but it's in the 2 range, right? Which is vastly below what other people using a professional make. So just understand that. It's like me, I had to do a terrace in my house, right? A really big terrace. I have no idea, I'm not handy at all, right? So I have no idea where to start. Could I have saved like $25,000 to do it myself? I could have. But I'm sure I would have had to hire somebody to redo my mistake, right? And that would have probably cost me even more. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Lastly, when you're managing wealth, make smart financial decisions. What do I mean by that? Ask yourself, when you're going to do something, ask yourself, how is this going to impact me from a year from now or 3 years from now? Don't go that far out. Just, if I do this right now, where am I going to be a year or 3 years from now? If I don't do this, where am I going to be in a year or 3 years from now? That's going to give you an idea as to if you're going the right direction or not. So make smart financial decisions. We get calls all the time from clients saying, hey, I like this boat. If we buy it and then we're going to have this payment, how does that affect my financial plan when we spoke about me retiring with this amount of money or this amount of income or this amount? So then I'm able to go in there and plug that in as an expense and be able to see how that affects the overall plan. And I can tell the person, listen, it's not going to hurt you that much, or this will completely derail you from your financial plan. Okay? Questions so far? Yes?
I was wondering, with being like a financial advisor, in the midst of your planning, is there any parts for like tragedies or some unexpected? Is there planning for that as well? Like death in the family. Let's say someone got ill and maybe, $30,000 for a surgery, and let's say you don't have insurance. Is there any financial planning that goes along with that as well?
It's a great question. So part of the full planning that we do, as opposed to, let's say, a financial advisor that doesn't do financial planning, is that we really look at all areas. So one of the areas is protection, which is the next area, right? And I don't do anything. I say this often. I don't do anything for my client if I do really well for you, but I leave you exposed for you to lose your money through either a lawsuit or through either an insurance need or something like that, right? We have limited resources, right? Like your income, let's say, is limited resources. So we have to prioritize and say, in a conversation, to say, what is most likely to happen in your event, right? Because we're not just going to get insurance policies for everything, right? It's just not, it shouldn't be done that way. It's very costly too. But if we look at your situation and we say, I'm a little bit afraid that this and this might happen, or this and this, then we address those things that you're more, you know yourself better than anybody, you know your situation better than anybody. So when you tell us, then we prepare for whatever you need in that sense. So there is financial planning for that. Now, the neat thing about us is that we don't charge commission, right? So most financial advisors will try to sell you something, right? You don't need to buy anything from us. We get compensated either hourly or a flat fee financial plan, right? And so if I tell you that you need X, Y, and Z, you don't actually have to do it. You can go do it with whoever you like. You can go see an attorney to do the estate plan. You can do whatever, all the things that I'm going to recommend. You don't have to do them with us. So that's how you know you're getting unbiased advice, is that I'm not saying you need this because I'm selling it to you. You see what I'm saying? So you want to do those, you want to address the things that are most concerning to you first. And that's why in our planning process, the first meeting, it's really entirely about you telling us about your entire situation, what you're looking at, what your goals are, what your concerns are, stuff like that. Okay?
Yeah, so I have a question.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be asking this because I think this, I wish somebody would have taught me this when I was in my 20s or my 30s. Let's say you do have debt. Like for me, I was one of many people in the room that paid for my own education. And then I got married and I actually paid for, I don't want to say that in a respectful way, but I made more money, so I financed my husband's MBA. So we were doing a lot of balancing. We built a home, we did smart things, but no one ever really told us early how to have that balanced approach of how much you're saving, what good debt you're taking on. You know, we had mortgages, so we're like, okay, we have debt. And then how are we managing in terms of what we spend, that ratio. And,
Right.
You know, and so you get to this place where I can see where some people, you start get comfortable managing some level of debt, and then where all of a sudden does that get out of control?
Yeah.
And that would say was the difference in terms of some of the strategies I did. I didn't necessarily know all of those things. What I knew was I didn't want to carry debt, so I always bought and paid for cars. I never had car loans. There's a lot of things I did. And it's that ratio. How do I manage debt? How do I save? How do I have nice vacations that I don't put on my credit card?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So we have a general outline that we have for our clients, and we tell them what percentages we feel that it's correct for them to do. So how much they should save, how much they should spend, and guess what? How much you should splurge, okay? Because it's kind of like one of those like fad diets, right? Like if you don't eat anything at all that you like at all, you do that for 30 days, then I don't know about you, but me, I then go right back to like 2 months of binging on what I love to eat, because you need to moderate yourself and be able to spend a little as well as save. So we do have the percentages that we, one thing is, as we were asking the question, I came to my mind is, a lot of people are making the mistake of buying too much house, right? So what do I mean by that? So there's one thing to qualify for a house, which, you know, we're also, I have my mortgage license as well, but I do as an outside business activity. But I coach people on that, is just because you qualify for something doesn't mean you should do it, okay? So if you qualify for this amount of a property, maybe if you're at the top end of that, then you know what you're going to feel. You're going to feel like this. You're going to feel like you literally cannot. The water's right here, and you can't even go out. You can't even sneeze. Like if you have a flat tire, and you can call AAA and it costs you $100, all of a sudden you're having to pull out your credit card for that because you just can't afford it, right? So you got to see how much. And one of the things that we use is 28% is the number that we use, and certified financial planners use as the number for your house. So, for example, if you make $8,000 a month, so $96,000 a year, let's just say, right? $8,000 a month. Your mortgage payment should be right around that $2,200 number, right? Roughly. So 25 to 28%, roughly. But guess what? If you want to get approved, 50%. Actually, if you do FHA, you can go up to 56%. So they will let you take on more debt, right? You're approved for that. However, should you or should you not? And that's how making smart decisions will impact your long term. So those are important pieces.
That percentage piece is so important. That guidance on percentage, that's where I was kind of going. Is this because you're going to be encouraged to take the maximum, and you've really got to come up with that plan.
And we put together a pie, just to make it easy for the client. We put together a pie that says, this pie goes to your savings, this pie is going to be for your mortgage, this pie is going to be for your expenses, this pie is going to be for your travel, this, whatever's important to them, that's how we, and it's one pie, that's the problem, right? It's only one pie, it's 100%, you can't have two pies, right? So it's one pie is the entire income that you have, what do we do with it? That's really what we do.
The income, is it pre-tax or post-tax?
I'm sorry?
When you talk about income, are you talking of pre-tax
We,
or post-tax?
okay, so the numbers always go with gross. Always. So pre-tax, right? So the net number will be obviously less than that. But that's why we normally say 25 to 28%, because then you have to account for taxes, and then you have to account for a few other things like that are not in your like food and variable stuff that is just not on your credit, for example.
So what's kind of the rule of thumb? I have a 13 and a 15-year-old, and I think about this a lot. I want them to live in Miami. I'd like for them to be close. I want to be around my grandkids, but I really have a hard time thinking about how much a house is going to cost when they graduate from college. So what's kind of the rule of thumb? Like, at what point do I stop paying rent and buy a house? I know when I bought my first house at 24, but I was school, and I will tell you that it was a very, very easy decision because it was literally $500 more than what I was paying for rent. That's it will probably be double my rent today. If I looked at it,
at my age, I saved when I went from renting to buying. I saved myself $300.
That's right.
So things changed. This was 1985.
That's right. But rent right now is so expensive that you'd be surprised when you actually do the numbers. It probably becomes like similar to your situation where it's like $500 more. But I think everything,
which is not at the time, it wasn't $500 more. I didn't have kids.
Right.
Most worked. We were dinks. Dual income, no kids.
Yeah.
So it was fairly easy to do that. We just didn't go out to eat maybe once a week, and we were good.
Yeah.
I mean, once a week, every month, every week, adds up to whatever that magic number is. But I feel like now it's, Miami's become significantly more expensive.
Yeah.
Without the salaries going up in that same ratio.
Yeah, and
I hate to be a downer, but I
No, you're absolutely right.
Work through that.
You're absolutely right. So one thing that I would say is I bought my first apartment when I was 19. Right? So I think it all depends on the child and where you see them or where they see themselves. Because what happens is now with millennials, a lot of people are not buying homes right now because they want to be able to be nimble and say, I want to be able to move, or I want to be able to not be tied down to a specific place. So the worst thing that you can do is buy a property and sell it a year later or 2 years later, right? So you have to, I call it the anchor, right? So wherever you set your anchor, that you say, I really love this place, this is where I want to be, then that's when you make the financial decision to go ahead and purchase. That's just my personal view on that. But one thing that we do for our clients is, and we do this only twice a year, we should do it more, but we do like a similar seminar where the parents bring in the high schoolers and the college students. And what we do is we actually do a 3-hour intensive thing where they're writing down, they're learning about finances, because the problem is right now, they're not being taught about finance in school. So then you end up having to have the burden of not only teaching, but it's coming from the parent. So the parent is like, wah, 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 right? So if the professional is telling them, and the professional gives them the card and says, if you have any questions, just call me directly. Now that high school student feels a little bit more empowered about their financial decisions. They're not asking mom or dad, they're asking a financial professional. And a lot of the clients that we've done that with, they really appreciate it because we don't charge, but it's really about, we know that the parents are working hard, again, creating, managing, protecting, and then transitioning wealth. It does no good if you transition wealth to someone who doesn't know how to manage it, right? So if we're helping that, then we're changing the family tree as a whole and making more informed decisions. So that's something that, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that do that. So you just gotta get them to go, and then they'll get some information from there. Sorry about that. Ladies first.
Right. So I have a question.
Yeah.
And something I'm curious about. So let's say I'm your client, right? And obviously you have to look at all my stuff. And I'm going with this 28. So I just calculated roughly, and it comes out to $840 for my mortgage or my rent, right? So like in my case, it's $840. There is no way with 2 kids I'm gonna find somewhere to live for $840.
Absolutely.
So in that case, would you as my financial advisor change that percentage? Would you advise me to work more? Like how do you go about that?
So let's assume that that's the situation right now, and you're sitting in my office. The first thing I'm going to ask you when you say that is, how much are you paying in rent?
Mhm.
And then I'm
It's
going to
a lot more
look,
than that.
and then I'm going to look at your debt, right? Are
Right.
you going up in debt every single month?
No.
Because if you're going up in debt, so you're not, right?
Right.
So your debt is staying the same. That means you're not overspending.
Right.
That means you can afford your rent payment.
Right.
Right. So then I look at other things, other variables, like what car do you drive right now? How much you pay for your car, right? Is it paid off, right? Because then let's say we normally say 5% of your income should go to your car payment. That's just the way we think. Trust me. I go to meetings and I go to conventions and I go with other planners and other advisors that quite honestly make less than I do and drive 10 times the car that I have. Right? I have a 2012 GMC Acadia, fully paid off, and I don't intend to change it.
Right.
First of all, it has
That's
sentimental
one of
value.
the
Both of my
changes
kids
I
were
made.
born with that car. I took them home. But
Right.
but besides that, my cars until that car blows up, I don't care showing up.
Sure.
I don't have to. Now, on that same token, because 5% of my income, and I'm well below that in my expenses, it was our anniversary, and I got my wife a Jaguar. That was her dream car of all time. However, it's $680 a month. But if I had 2 cars, it would be $340 and $340, which is very reasonable in the way things are right now for car payments, right? But it still is below 5% of what I make. So that's what I talk about splurging. Sometimes you got to give yourself a gift, but as long as you're not doing something irrational. So going back to your point, I would look at all the expenses that you have, and I would see what really makes sense for you. Maybe 28% doesn't make sense for you because of the fact that you don't have a car payment, because maybe you don't have any other debt. Maybe your expenses are really low compared to your income. So then what do? We increase that to the point where it doesn't burden you, right? The point is not going to buy just because you want to buy, right? Going to buy because there's a purpose and there's a reason behind it, because you're creating equity, right? So it's better if all things held equal, right? If rent, buying is always better if you have them equally, right? Because you're creating wealth for yourself. But some people end up going the extreme route and go to the maximum they qualify for. And then you have the marital issues with financial planning, because then all of a sudden you're bickering at each other, etc. Because you're up to here, nobody gets a vacation, nobody gets to do it. There's no eating out, there's no, and you just have a home, So I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, that's it.
Any other questions before I continue?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I had an issue was discussing my financial stuff, because I always thought it was private.
It's taboo.
Taboo. And the second thing is, when I made the decision to move the money with you, remember I had the money at Wells Fargo, and you were a financial advisor at Wells Fargo. So, and then I was in my mind, which is, like most of the people think, is you keep the money in a big bank and be safe on that, and then you're gonna get. But I got crappy advice until I found you. I went to okay, no, but here, get a credit card. So can you explain to me and to the people here that basically, we're not millionaires. We didn't think we needed a financial advisor. How do we start? If I were in college and I would have had a financial advisor next to me, I would have been, killing it by this time and not worrying about anything. But I thought I wasn't worthy of an advisor at that moment.
And most people think advisors are for people that are millionaires.
Exactly.
And that couldn't be further from the truth. Yes, we do charge, like for example, we charge, which is one thing that I wanted to do as a surprise. I haven't told you yet what I was going to do, but I'm going to take everybody's information down and I'm going to do a raffle at my office, and then just to give back to you guys, I'm going to auction out, basically, raffle out one financial plan, okay? And it's going to be at no cost at all, and it's going to be about, normally we do things in about 4 meetings, which would take about an hour and a half each meeting, but because of the fact that we're doing it pro bono, it's probably going to be about 4 hours of your time. It could be over the phone, it could be at our office. Again, you're not going to pay anything at all for it, but we just want to raffle that out. So we're going to do that just to help the cause. So going back to that point. So here's the situation. So we charge normally $300 per hour for financial planning. Okay. Now, that's per hour that we're meeting with you. Right? Then there's hours that are kind of us rolling up our sleeves and developing a plan. We don't charge for that, right? So we just charge the time that we're spending with the client putting together the plan. So that's our consulting. So $300 really, I recommend that you meet with an advisor at least once a year, right? Just to get an idea. You really break it down, $300 in a year, if you meet one time, just to kind of know where you're headed and get some real life advice as to what you should be doing. It's really not far-fetched, right? Now, for our clients, we tend to have more planning, more time, because they have more needs. So as your needs grow, then you will need us more because there's more things to do, right? But we also offer the financial planning flat fee, which means we set up the entire plan from A through Z, so it's not consulting hourly. We don't charge per hour on that. But we charge just a flat fee financial plan, and that will take care of everything from A through Z, depending on the complexity. That's, the price changes. But we range anywhere between $2,000 and $4,500 roughly for a financial plan, depending on the complexity, right? But you do it once, and then what you do is you do that review every single year to make sure that you're better off than you were last year and that you've implemented certain things. And then we also work with your attorney and with your CPA to make sure that we're all working in a team to increase your wealth. So it is accessible to everyone, because if you bought yourself an iPhone 10, which costs $1,000, that would have paid for an hourly fee one time per year for me for 3 years, right? And I guarantee you that the return that you would get would be completely different, right? Now, iPhones are very much needed. I have an iPhone 10, yes. or Samsung, whatever you prefer. One key thing that you mentioned. Okay, so banks compared to, like, myself. Okay, that's a misconception. When you go see a financial advisor, you are not seeing a banker. You are not depositing your money in the bank. Okay? So, I'll give you an example. And I don't poo-poo, like Wells Fargo and JP Morgan, they have great individuals in there, and I have a lot of friends in there. I just want to tell you how it works, right? So, if you go into Wells Fargo, you have your bankers, you have your tellers, you have your everything, the branch operation, right? And then you have an advisor, sometimes in the branch, off to the side, and you'll see signage, specific signage, that says that here is investments, we offer investments, etc. But it's not FDIC insured, it's not the bank, etc. So what do? Right? Instead of losing a client to a financial advisor outside of the bank, they create their own brokerage platform, their own investment platform, and they sit the advisor in the branch so that the business doesn't leave. Right? So if you want to invest money, and you're a Wells Fargo client, why not go to the Wells Fargo advisor? That's right there. It's very convenient. So that's kind of how they structure it. So when you have myself, you have the same exact thing. So Wells Fargo, right, has Wells Fargo advisors. We are an independent firm that we have our brokerage called LPL Financial. That's who we decided to partner up with. They just happen to be the largest independent broker-dealer in the nation, which means everybody, or mostly everyone who works with LPL, is completely independent. They're business owners. Right? But your money is sitting in the same exact place, LPL Financial, as if you were to deposit at Wells Fargo Advisors. It's the exact same thing. It's a brokerage platform. Okay? So it's just the notion that you're walking into a bank and my money's going here, but it's not really at the bank. As a matter of fact, when you get your statement, at the bottom of the investments, it says not FDIC insured, may lose value, etc., because it is not sitting in the bank as a savings account or as a checking account. So that's very important, because when people come to me, they're like, oh, I'm in a building, 3rd floor, I love your office, fantastic, but am I depositing the money in your account or what account? No, we have LPL Financial. We open up the account, your money goes into that account. God forbid I go out that day, I get run over by a bus, you still have your money in LPL Financial, which is the largest independent financial brokerage. So it's just so you understand that it's not like pastor passes away, your money, where is it? You know, you're going to continue to get your statement, and that's the way it works. Yeah.
What's the difference between an accountant and a CFP?
Good question. So accounting, like a CPA, is you pass an exam, right? You have your experience, you pass an exam, and you get your CPA certification. Now you're allowed to do CPA stuff, so taxes and a lot of the other stuff that accompanies it with accounting, right? We, as a certified financial planner, we pass a board exam as well. We have to go through, we have to have, I think, don't quote me on the exact number, but I think it's over 6,000 hours of financial planning before you can even start the classes. And then you start the classes, it's about a year or so, a year and change, and then you take your exam. You have to have a bachelor's. I just happen to have my MBA, but it's not needed. So the certified financial planner is a holistic view. So I took a specialization in taxes as well. So I can read your income tax returns the same way a CPA would. Probably a CPA will know a lot more about the laws and about the intricacies, right? So what we do is we don't replace the CPA. We work together with the CPA, because the CPA is focusing on this area, but your financial life is like this. So they created this profession so that we can be on your side. It's really hard nowadays to find, like, let's say you go buy a car, you have a salesperson. Go buy a house. I love realtors. My father's a realtor, and my brother's a realtor, right? So I'm not talking about it, but you have a realtor who's trying to sell you a house, right? Mortgage, I have my mortgage license. I'm trying to sell you a mortgage. So it's hard to have somebody on your side that is impartial and is telling you this is what you should do, right? Regardless. I'm going to make the same amount whether you do it or not, but I'm telling you this is what you should be doing. So they created the certified financial planner to be a fiduciary. That word means I have to act in the best interest of my client always, right? And so I go with you, or I partner up with you to talk to your accountant. Maybe I saw something in your taxes and I say, hey, if we do this way, you think it'll be more beneficial, etc. And often it is. And then we work together to do that, because you'd be surprised. There's a lot of really fantastic CPAs and a lot of fantastic accountants that will teach me a lot of stuff about taxes, and there's a lot of other accountants and CPAs that I'm shocked that they have, that designation. So it really depends on where you go. And we do that with attorneys too. We sit with you to go to see an attorney. Often if you go see an attorney, you ask them, what documents do I need? They're going to tell you, you need 35 different documents, because those are the ones that I offer and I charge for that. But if I go with you and I say, she really, in her situation, only needs X, Y, Z, now I saved you money than if you would have gone by yourself. So that's really what the difference is between a CPA and a CFP. And there's only 17